again, while this is not a comprehensive list, you know, these individuals and these organizations are just extremely important as we look to build our future. So with that, let me start and ask, we'll ask John Lanis if he would introduce himself and his organization.
You're not supposed to be up there again.
Right, great. Well, thank you, Michael, very much. And as we kind of kick off here, I'll just reiterate a big thanks to HEN, the HEN leadership, including David and Tom, but also Ben and McCarran and Michael for really thoughtfully approaching this event and really the work in general. So really honored to have the opportunity to come together with several of our partners here today to talk about our work. So we'll go ahead and advance to the next slide, Ben, and kick it off here. So I just want to start quickly by kind of reiterating GLI's overarching mission and vision, which is to accelerate economic growth, job creation, business competitiveness in the greater Louisville region, and with a vision for greater Louisville with an exceptional economy where businesses succeed and people thrive. I do think it's important to note that we are an investor-funded and driven organization, and they are literally the foundation for all the work that we take on and drive forward as their partner. Slide. So I'm going to just highlight 4 core roles that GLI plays in growing our regional economy, including business connectivity, advocacy, workforce and talent, and probably our least known role as our market's REDO, or Regional Economic Development Organization. We'll focus on healthcare, but it is important to note that these roles that I'll identify also apply as we look to accelerate growth within all 5 of our region's business sectors, including health and aging innovation, food and beverage, business services, logistics and e-commerce, as well as advanced manufacturing. Slide. So through GLI and its affiliated industry networks, including the Health Enterprise Network, which you just kind of heard some background and really the focus of their work. That also includes the Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network, as well as our newest technology and tech-enabled company network, Tech First. Through that and our general GLI membership, we're honored to be able to partner with over 1,800 investors in our work to grow the regional economy. We love making direct business-to-business introductions to support in-market sales and sourcing and partnerships, but we also offer opportunities for business engagement and community connectivity through programming such as our annual and upcoming Glide Trip to really take deep dives with our business partners into major community issues. Or our popular coffee and quarantine events that have risen up through the pandemic that allow companies to quickly network, share, and learn from other businesses in the community. These are critical to not only supporting the existing industry growth, but they build industry partnerships and relationships that can be leveraged to really help our region grow and thrive. For example, in partnership with investors, our advocacy team works to ensure our region stays competitive. Each year we convene business leaders through various policy committees to inform our federal, state, and now local policy agendas, all in an effort to really create a strong and thriving environment to attract companies looking to expand or invest, but also just as importantly to offer existing companies and startups a conducive environment to grow, thrive, and innovate. Next slide. GLI also offers a variety of workforce and talent supports, including our role with the Academies of Louisville in partnership with JCPS and Kentucky Antwerps. So GLI's role is to recruit partners into and to support the healthcare pathways. Some of those partners include Norton, Trilogy, U of L School of Medicine. We provide the frameworks and the partnership relationships to assist companies as they provide career exploration and work-based learning activities. This ensures students are aware of viable career opportunities within the healthcare ecosystem, and it ensures they graduate with soft and technical skills to pursue a career in healthcare. It's very important for students who need to engage in what we call a work, earn, and learn model, so they can earn a paycheck while gaining post-secondary credentials. It provides a direct pipeline from high school to career, and is particularly important to provide access to opportunity and upward mobility for our more vulnerable populations. Hopefully most of you have seen or engaged with our Live and Lou brand. Our team regularly meets and works with healthcare companies to provide information they need to help recruit and retain talent inside and outside of the region. Our companies can sell the job, but oftentimes we are a great partner to help them sell the region and the community. We host a local job board. We provide a variety of regional information and insights on neighborhoods, schools, nightlife, as well as resources to help new and prospective residents feel welcomed and get engaged in the community, such as our City Champs program, which allows individuals to connect with other professionals that might meet either their personal or professional interests. We can also develop customized advertising campaigns to help healthcare companies target and attract talent from out of the region. We conduct a lot of research to help identify the best geographies and compare cost of living, and then we monitor that engagement through our advertising. Slide. So last but not least, GLI operates our market's regional economic development organization, or as sometimes we call it in the industry, we're the REDO. Our REDO operates under the name the Greater Louisville Regional Partnership. What does that mean exactly? Well, GLI strategically partners with these 15 counties throughout Indiana and Kentucky to foster regional collaboration and to help drive investment through regional market generation, and by providing project management supports specifically for projects that are considering multiple counties. So whether we are working with a consultant or a company that is considering our region, the partnership offers a single point of contact that works hand in hand with our county partners to represent the region and to make it as easy as possible for the client. Slide. So this partnership creates a framework for regional collaboration and ultimately allows us to promote and represent a broad spectrum of assets and advantages from quality of place and quality of life, no matter your style, slide, to an impressive offering of workforce and innovation resources that are always ready and willing to collaborate and partner. Slide. To simplify, as a region, I think what we all know from our own daily lives and professional experiences is that collectively we have a bigger, bolder story to tell. Slide. So how do we get our leads? Well, partnership's primary focus is business attraction. So we often work with, to outreach and engage and market to site consultants, while at the same time we regularly collaborate and support projects from our local commercial brokers and community partners. One example would be our annual familiarization tour, or FAM tour, and this entails hosting 10 national site consultants in the region for a fun, informative, and authentic experience that offers our region the opportunity to cultivate relationships with these consultants and to market our community, all to generate leads. Slide. So once the lead is generated, GLI, through the partnership, offers project management services if more than one county is being considered. So since out-of-market clients are typically unfamiliar with county lines, to say the least, we go through a discovery process with each project to identify their area of focus. For example, if a company says, I'd like to be within 45 minutes of UPS, I think we all know that 15 counties are in play. Once we confirm, we share the lead with our county partners to solicit real estate, industry, and workforce insights and other data. And we coordinate those details into a single response on behalf of the region. We then follow up and track that project while keeping our county partners updated via monthly pipeline reports and monthly meetings. We also host site visits in coordination with our county partners, offering clients some continuity as they travel from county to county or state to state. Maybe most importantly, a single driver. As clients narrow that focus to a specific site or sites, the project management transitions to that county as they know their local community best and are really best positioned to offer final logistics support. They also initiate incentive assessments and authorizations in partnership with the state. So once finalized, it's the fun part. The region gets to celebrate the win, and hopefully they become a GLI investor. All right, I think I'm good.
Okay.
All right, next. Ben, can you give us, Benjamin Moore, can you give us an overview of Louisville Forward?
Sure. Thanks, Michael. It's always fun to have more than one Ben on these events and meetings. I want to say good morning to everyone. Thank you for being here, and thanks to all the partners, Ben, McCarran, the GLI, and HEN teams for lining this up and for having the vision to put this together. I think it's extremely timely and a super important topic as we look to finish out 2020, what's left of it, and what we have coming up in 2021, and how we're working together to really position this community for greater success in the future and use this as a launch pad for so much more. And so my name is Ben Moore. I'm the Senior Manager for Economic Development with Louisville Forward. I focus in the health and aging innovation sector. So I'm not gonna, John did an amazing job of walking through what we do as economic developers, our process. And we follow the exact same process on a local level. So we are focused on the 399 square miles of Louisville Metro, Jefferson County. So where John is our REDO, our Regional Economic Development Organization representative, and his team, we are the LEDO, the Local Economic Development Organization. So we love our acronyms. So the process that John was talking about is very similar for us. There are often times that companies will come directly to a local agency and say, we want to be in Louisville, we want to be in downtown, or we want to be in your suburbs, or they have done some additional research where they do come directly to the local team, in which case they would engage with us. And from a project management standpoint, we work very similarly with John. We work hand in hand with him and his team at GLI to make sure that they have the best experience that they possibly can. And it's very representative of how we work with our ecosystem partners, is that, you know, when folks visit our community, what they like to see is collaboration. What they like to see is a community. And what we show them is that we all know each other. We all get along. And yeah, we're all a little competitive for our own municipality or our own area, but if a win is a win for the region. And so we are extremely happy to be in such great partnership with John and the GLI team in the work that they do. So our mission is that we are the local economic development and community development agency. Louisville Forward is sort of an umbrella brand with three legs of the stool. We have our codes and regulations group, and that's going to be your ABC permitting and the folks that tell you your grass is too tall, and graffiti abatement, things of that nature. Then you have our Develop Louisville team, and that's everything from historic preservation and advanced planning, folks looking at what our community will look like in 20 years, into our planning and permitting teams. And then economic development, which is where I sit. And this is a team that's split into our business clusters, our industries, which are shared with GLI, those 5, and our small business team, which is our small and local business group. And I want to give a shout out to them. They have been working so hard over the past 6 or 7 months, not that they don't normally work hard, but they have been dispersing over $20 million of grant money to small and local businesses to assist in this time. And so really want to shout out to them and the great work they're doing, because the support that they provide to those local businesses, our favorite restaurants, our favorite local coffee shops, that's what makes Louisville so great. That's what gives us our soul and our spirit. And when we talk about our quality of life, our arts and our parks, our cost of doing business, our cost of living, our amazing neighborhoods, it's that fabric that makes Louisville so amazing, and is usually the thing that really lands it for us. You know, John and I are really good at our jobs, but you don't land anything if you don't have a good product to sell. And our region is an amazing, amazing region. So we're very, very proud of it. So our team will work on real estate and workforce development. We partner with the universities, our K through 12 partners in the city, our community and technical college, to make sure that folks have the workforce support they need when it's recruitment, if it's retention, if it's, you know, working with folks to design programs. You know, big shout out to U of L's news yesterday and the healthcare data program. That's going to be a huge differentiator for our community. So the cybersecurity piece is so big, and we're excited to see that. So one of the questions is, you know, who do we serve? We serve the 750,000 or plus taxpayers of Louisville Metro Jefferson County. That's how we are funded. And so each and every one of you is a constituent, and each and every one of you is, I'm here because of you, so thank you. Our leadership, we're a small agency. We have our director, Rebecca Fleischaker, our chief, Mary Ellen Wiederwohl, who reports directly to Mayor Fisher. And so we're sort of a little bit compacted that way. So, you know, I think the thing that I really wanted to focus on a bit, since John did such a great job of the economic development overview and the process of that, and then also make sure we have time for everybody else, so I'm gonna shut up here in a minute, is just that the importance of this sector cannot be underappreciated. It cannot be, you know, we all have to understand and recognize that this is a true differentiator for our community. The Engel report, you know, pointed it out 10 years ago. We are realizing it yet again. And how we come out of the COVID situation, the protests and community unrest that we see around the country, health and aging innovation is going to be the rocket ship for our community. I believe that. And I think that all of us are here today because we believe that. And it's because of organizations like the Healthcare CEO Council and the work the University of Louisville is doing, the work that GLI is doing, the work that Bellarmine is doing with their aging management degrees. You know, you have so many folks working in this area, and that has created a truly unique ecosystem, the Thrive Center, Accelerate Health, that we are positioned, and I'm gonna steal Tammy's word here for a moment. We are poised. And we're poised for real greatness here, and for this to be the way that we move our economy forward. You know, 10 years ago when we had our recession, we came back thanks to our manufacturing groups, because Ford and GE, they really fueled our economy 10 years ago coming out of the recession. And we were one of the fastest local economies to recover. Today, I believe that that's going to be health and aging innovation. That the way healthcare is changing, the way aging and senior care is changing, and the way innovation and technology is informing that change, we are the epicenter of that. And it is our time and our opportunity to seize that with these partners and to really make something great for our community. And so with that, since John gave such a great, again, thank you, John. I couldn't thank you enough. And I'm sorry if you hear a 10-month-old in the background. He's the reason I do this. My firstborn is that when he's my age, I want him to live in a better Louisville. And that's the work that we're doing today. And so apologies for him. He'll be gone to daycare here in a few minutes. And with that, I'll see the rest of my time.
Thank you, Ben. Next, Tammy, share your story.
Okay, I feel like I can just say, you know, what they said on so much of this. So I'm going to bounce through this presentation pretty quickly. I'm Tammy York Day, President and CEO of the Louisville Healthcare CEO Council. And, you know, Ben, I think if you want to go to the next slide, I'm gonna go through kind of quickly and just talk a little bit about the council. I know most of you have engaged in some way with the council, with everyone on this call. And I want to echo Ben's sentiment to Ben Keaton and to David Henley and Michael Bryant and all of the HEN leadership for putting this together. I think these conversations are really important, and we're at a really critical time in healthcare. And, you know, as Ben said, I feel like we're really poised to make a difference, not only for our community and the economic impact, but for these national solutions that we're seeing are so desperately needed as we move to a new future in healthcare. So our mission is to leverage Louisville's status as the national leader in healthcare aging innovation. We are the nation's predominant cluster in aging innovation healthcare companies. Next slide. So this is our leadership with our board of directors. Ben Breyer is our board chair, president, and CEO of Kindred Healthcare. And then this is our executive committee Rick Rimmers is on our executive committee. He has been an amazing force with this council and helping convene originally when the council was a concept. And, you know, by our bylaws, only the CEO can serve on the board of directors as a voting member, but we have special committees like our executive committee, which Rick is a part of, and Randy Bufford, who is now leading our chairman's circle, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. And I think, you know, a lot of you were on the meeting that we had a couple weeks ago, and Randy shared a little bit about the chairman's circle work. Next slide. And then these are the council companies. So the CEOs of these organizations are very engaged. You know, we hear a lot about connection to corporate, and when we're looking at building an entrepreneurial ecosystem, you know, how important that connection is. And there is a lot of work that has gone on to leverage and bring together the entire ecosystem and springboard to that next level where we build that innovation community and the innovation cycle that we all know is critically necessary to have a thriving economic community. And with these CEOs, you know, one thing I can tell you that I've been so gratified with is they very much care, and they're very engaged and invested in our future in this community. We also have special committees, and David Henley, Michael Bryant have both been a part of that from our beginning. And I really appreciate their leadership, you know, not only I know with HEN, but also for the council. Next slide. So collectively, when we say we dominate, just LHCC member companies touch 80 million lives annually, employ 400,000 people nationally, and represent 100 billion in annual revenues. So, you know, we always say in the Midwest, we're hesitant to tout our horn and to really, you know, promote. And it's not that we aspire to be that epicenter. We are the epicenter nationally. Next slide. So these are our pillars. Ben Breyer launched our strategic plan last fall, and it really centers around our corporate innovation initiatives with supporting pillars of a global healthcare summit. We just wrapped that up last month in a virtual world, different than I think we all thought we would be in 2020. And then the supporting pillars of the access to capital through our strategic investment fund and other capital connections. So next slide. Okay, and this is our strategic roadmap, 2019 to 2023. Our focus this year is social determinants of health, and the CEOs prioritized this roadmap in 2018. So we always say it seemed prophetic that social determinants of health ended up being our focus this year. Those, you know, for a lot of people, that was just a term, you know, that nobody really understood. And now during this time, kind of this unprecedented time, both with this pandemic and the tragedy that we see with the pandemic and the coronavirus, and also the calls for social justice and the health inequities that we all know exist, I think it is the perfect time to be having the conversations, and the work that we've done over the last couple of years towards this has uniquely prepared us, you know, in Louisville to really turn being spotlighted in a lot of ways that we wouldn't want, and turn that around to really be a part of the solution on a national basis. Next slide. So our innovation framework has centered around how do we foster that connection? How do we bring together the corporates and take the mystery out of what these organizations need when we look at a focus area? And we do that through discovery labs now, where we take a deep dive with the experts within the companies, look at, for example, with social determinants of health, what that company is currently doing in that space, where there are gaps, what do they need, so that we take the mystery out of it when we're doing that connection to the people that have those solutions, and use that to attract talent here, to go out and find the innovation, the thought leaders that we want here, that we want to grow, who are already here, as well as attract. Then we narrow that gap, kind of focus into addressable parts, and then do that call for innovations. And this is where we get into our chairman circle work, where we're going to be announcing our inaugural class of innovations who will be mentored through the Chairman's Circle and these group of former CEOs and founders who have done it, who have the strategic connections, who can look for the right strategic partners and provide that, you know, access to capital that we all know we need. We always lose, we often lose companies right at that $30 million or so mark, right as they're starting to scale. And as this is one of the things that this is set to address. And then I'm going to talk just very briefly about next steps. How do we deploy? We did a little dot for our innovation committee that said you are here, right between refine and deploy. And we are going to be launching 2 pilots that really bring together the council and all of the council companies and tie it to the launch of an innovation. And it'll be our first collective, you know, as a full council.
Any number. Please re-enter.
And quick reminder, if everybody hasn't muted, I'm ADHD, so I'm easily distracted. So if everybody hasn't muted, if you would please do so, that'd be awesome.
81328. This meeting password is invalid. Goodbye.
That's usually, you know, I fear often me, whoever's trying to access and get in. So we're at the deployment stage. And then one of the things that I think is very unique and that sets us apart and doesn't exist anywhere in the nation that I'm excited for our whole ecosystem is when we're launching a deployment, we'll be able to have data that's very specific to what we want to measure and what we say are the milestones for success. That's centralized, that when we talk and say all the words about looking at that continuum of care and that entire line of sight represented when you know, enter from the hospital through end of life, we will have the centralized data from all of the council companies to really measure that in a real way. Next slide. Our Chairman's Circle that many of you heard from Randy Bufford is an exciting piece of this. This is an integrated strategy. We're excited about our partnerships with everybody on this panel to bring this together, that we're building these programs together, that we don't duplicate, that we leverage the best of what's going on for all of the organizations. And then also that connection with the people that have done it. You know, this Chairman's Circle, in addition to mentoring these innovators and innovations and scaling and helping them grow here, also self-identified that they want to be a tool. When we have Louisville Forward, when we have GLI, when we have different initiatives and we're attracting companies here, they said we need to be the group that they can call on as a tool where we can go talk to healthcare companies, greet them at the airport, talk to them about what it's like to grow a healthcare company here in Louisville. And that's been a missing piece. And, you know, I was excited that they really self-identified that. It's an important piece. Next slide. All right, and this is not actually announced yet. We're going to be announcing this in the launch of our pilots, and you know, this is kind of running water through the pipes. And when I talked about that, you know, measuring and scaling the you know, the companies and these interventions that we've identified that these companies need, and doing it in a real systems approach, this is it. It's through a common deployment team, an LHCC-led common deployment team, where we identify through the work with our innovation committee and through our global innovation search, the intervention. And then we chose to launch this intervention since our focus is on loneliness and isolation as a subset of social determinants of health, as we've seen the impacts of that and already know it's a great health impact. Tragically, it's exacerbated hugely during this coronavirus pandemic. We're launching that intervention in our long-term care companies that are on the council of Signature and Trilogy. And then we are identifying and building together the milestones for success and then pulling that supporting data, bringing in public data and providing that infrastructure that will be able to really assess what impact, you know, and health impacts an intervention like this has. It's great for the innovator because they, through a series, will know what success looks like. They either hit a milestone or they iterate or the pilot's abandoned. Our phase 2 will be in our aging in place community, and we're going to have a special focus on our Black, minority, and ethnic communities that are very much disproportionately impacted by everything when you're on the wrong side of social determinants of health. So next slide. This just kind of summarizes, the pillars and in our work that centers and intersects with this corporate innovation work that ties to economic vibrancy and thought leadership and aging innovation. And this really is not just LHCC. This is for all of the organizations. This is how we bring together not only GLI and HEN and Traeger and the university along with us, but everyone that is working towards this and bringing together these different pieces. Next slide. All right, this is just an impact slide in some of our collaborations and partnerships with attracting organizations like Aging 2.0 to have their national headquarters here, and the 1.1 million in startup capital that we fostered to be invested here, and our innovation searches that tie to our discovery labs. Next slide. Okay, and these are just some of our key partnerships, that tie the council companies and the whole ecosystem. And that wraps it up for me.
All right. Thank you, Tammy. And Will, pull it all together for us with U of L.
Wow, good morning. Thanks for having me today. I'm really excited. I'm Will Metcalf, the Executive Director of Research Development and Strategic Initiatives here at U of L. And I have to say how excited I am after hearing all of the speakers this morning, and especially Tammy. I mean, it's so much to take in, I think, really, but it's really makes me proud to be a part of Louisville and the opportunities that we have. As I think everybody knows, that the University of Louisville is a part of Louisville, a big, important part. And so I'm going to just kind of go through the top level, what we are, some data points. And so if you'll go to the next slide there for me. So as everybody knows, U of L is a top tier Carnegie R1 research institution with very high research activity. So that's a designation that we have from an agency that basically says we do over $180 million a year in research expenditures. And we're doing, our research spans all disciplines. But we do a lot in the healthcare space, immunotherapy, cancer, biomedical devices, environmental health impacts, et cetera. We also partner with industry and startups on sponsored research to commercialize our technologies invented here. So when we do that research, often it produces a new idea or invention, and then we work with either a startup or a large established company to move that to market. As you may know, we have 12 schools, from social work to law to engineering to medicine, on 3 campuses, including our Belknap campus, downtown Health Sciences campus, and our Shelbyhurst campus in East Louisville. Our footprint is huge. In addition to students currently enrolled, we have more than 151,000 Cardinal alumni around the world. I think, that's something that every time I say that, it almost shocks me. That's 151,000 Cardinal alumni around the world. So next slide, please. So our mission at U of L is to be a great place to work, learn, and invest. We strive to reach that bar in everything we do. And I'm going to dive into these a little bit more and hopefully answer the big question that I was asked to talk about today, which is what role our organization plays in the community and what we do on a daily basis. So next slide, please. So it's no secret that we're really good at the learn part of our 3-part equation. Our graduates are the bedrock of the next generation of our local workforce. They're the thinkers, the leaders, and the doers out in the community. And I think part of that's highlighted by what Tammy talked about, right? So several of the people that those companies, our employees go and work there, and Randy Buffert's an alumni, really proud alumni of U of L and on our board. And so U of L has more than 22,000 students enrolled, and we confer more than 5,000 degrees in an academic year. We have some 200 degree programs equipping students with knowledge and resources to be successful and to make their own unique impact on the world. This includes healthcare, where we offer undergraduate and degree programs in bioengineering, nursing, dentistry, medicine, and we're fueled by the recent coronavirus pandemic. We've actually seen a really big influx in our public health enrollment. So that's 19.5% in our undergraduate public health program and a 34% increase in our undergraduate public health program. That's the largest percentage increase in any bachelor's degree program at U of L this year. Next slide, please. So we're also, like I said, this 3-part kind of formula. Our employees help to make all of that I just talked about happen. And they're, obviously what makes our campus a great place to work. We're one of Louisville's largest employers with 4,513 total faculty and staff in 2019, and we offer great benefits, including tuition remission. So I know that a lot of companies say their staff's like family, but really at U of L, I think that's very true. We're a close family here. Next slide, please. So as for the invest part, so we're obviously, I think we're a great place to invest at U of L, but that goes both ways. We also want to invest in the community and the local economy by helping companies of all sizes innovate and grow. Just a few examples of this. So our research collaborations. So U of L has considerable capability and capacity and commitment to provide high quality, productive research and innovation services to multiple industry sectors, including healthcare. Some examples of these partnerships include Cardinal Health's Customer Service Center at U of L called Launch, and Hive, which is an innovative center partnership with Kindred Healthcare, where our students work side by side with the pros to develop software that solves healthcare industry problems. And so we can also partner with business to seek federal funding to support applied research and training programs. For example, our Logistics and Distribution Institute is working on a proposal right now to the National Science Foundation on healthcare ergonomics and logistics. And so this is going to be industry-focused research with kind of a support infrastructure funded by the National Science Foundation. So industry engagement is going to be a really important part of that activity because it's going to be applied work, how to improve the healthcare sector in Louisville. And so the other piece is, like I said, I kind of alluded to this earlier, is when we do this research, this $180 million in research activity every year, sometimes that produces a really new innovation or idea that's never happened before. Often it does. And when that happens, we go through intellectual property protection, and then we try to license those technologies that are invented out to industry or startups. And so our office seeks to commercialize these inventions and discoveries, often by working with an external partner through the development of entirely new entity or startup. You may recognize some of these companies. Talaris Health recently was in the news. I think it was a couple days ago, raising $115 million. In addition to the $100 million they raised last year for the phase 3 clinical trial, which is the last step before they can apply for FDA approval. And so Talaris was founded at U of L to commercialize an innovative technology that helps organ transplant patients stay off immunosuppressants, which can prevent rejection, but come with some severe side effects. So really proud of that company. And so just some examples. I don't want to take up too much time this morning because I know we're getting close to the end of the hour, but there's so much more to talk about that barely scratches the surface, but really, like I said, it's an exciting panel to be a part of. So thanks, Michael.
All right, thanks everybody. Again, I hope everyone on the call appreciates the depth that each organization is bringing. I think part of the message today is our plans for the future, the collaborative efforts of all these organizations. It isn't just talk, there's real substance behind that. And I think part of the message today is to communicate the depth and the substance that this isn't just a dream, these are actually achievable opportunities for our community. So with that, I wanted to, we'll ask each one in order, John, Ben, Tammy, and Will to respond. But I wanted to start off the conversation, I'll say, with maybe a little bit of the elephant in the room as it relates to Louisville, given downtown Louisville's dynamics because of COVID and protests. How important, or is it important that, or is it related in any way, downtown's issues to our development of the healthcare ecosystem? So, John?
Yeah, I'll jump in and just quickly say, yeah, the downtown is incredibly important. I think when you look in markets throughout the U.S. Downtowns are that shared hub, particularly for our region, right? It's that that place where I think personally and professionally many of us come together, whether for entertainment or for professional purposes. We do have a lot going on in our community and across the country, but I think it really just kind of underscores the importance of the work that we're doing, and really accelerates some already existing trends related to real estate and quality of life and other dynamics. And so I do think that Louisville is well positioned for the future, particularly the downtown. Again, kind of in the middle of some of these underlying dynamics right now, it can be kind of tough to see the future, but I would just kind of note that our community is big enough to have impact and to make real change, but small enough and cohesive enough to really know and lean on each other in really impactful ways. Obviously, we have a significant medical district located in our downtown, which again brings that importance of it to the healthcare ecosystem. So I'm very optimistic about the future. I do think that it's going to take us collaborating together to not only generate that local interest and investment and nurture it from an economic development perspective, but from a promotional perspective. We have some perception issues of downtown right now, and so some of the work that we need to do as a community is just to better tell our story, to get our families and our companies and our staff engaged in the work to make sure that our downtown makes a strong recovery, because I think, as everybody on this call would agree, the downtown has seen a lot of advancement over the past 5-10 years even, and so we really want to recapture that momentum to the benefit of our community and specifically our healthcare ecosystem.
All right. Thanks, John. Ben, what's the impact of downtown on the future of economic development in the healthcare space?
I think it's absolutely critical. Downtown is the heart of our community. It is everyone's neighborhood. It's the place that we all can identify with. And I thank John for his comments, and I echo all of those. And so I just want to touch on a few points. Downtown is home every day to more than 50,000 workers. More than 50,000 people come into the central business district every day. Now, that changed in the middle of March, and changed obviously due to coronavirus, due to COVID. And so we are hopeful that as folks can return to work safely, that they will. And a number of businesses have. Now, we are hearing from folks that they will not be returning for a little while because we are seeing spikes in the virus, and we still don't have it under control the way we would like. And so I hope everyone's wearing their mask. I hope we all can get together on that and protect our neighbors and get back to business as usual as soon as we can. But as a lifelong Louisvillian, downtown had seen growth and strides and momentum, to John's point, that I don't think we've ever seen. We were looking at billions of dollars of investment in the central business district. And I'm really glad to say that most of what we were looking at, in fact, all of it that we know of as projects announced and projects underway, are still on the board. I've yet to encounter anyone that has said, we're not doing this here anymore. So I think the message is we're a little bit on pause. And I think that at the end of last year, a lot of us were talking about 2020 being our year. And obviously we couldn't foresee what 2020 was going to be, because it wasn't. It wasn't anybody's year. And so I think 2021 has really great opportunity for us. And it's because, again, some of the work that's going on here. But you don't attract a young, energetic, innovative workforce without a strong central core. We know that this generation wants to be in a more urban environment. They want to be able to go to work and go have lunch and then stay after and go to a soccer game and then go to a cool bar and then go karaokeing and then play ping pong. And then they want to walk to their apartment that's in downtown. That's the kind of lifestyle most of them want. And it's what is offered in our downtown. You can do all of those things in our downtown. We have a great new karaoke bar in New Lou. You can play ping pong at Garage Bar. Go Louisville City, all right? So we have an amazing amazing community. And I think that we will see it come back, but we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do as a community. I believe that we are a compassionate city. And to John's point, we are big enough to be relevant on a global stage, but still small enough to be a community and to really care about one another. And I believe that's what's going to carry us forward in so many ways, is we have a lot of work to do when it comes to racial equity and social justice. And it's time that this community leads. I think that we can step up and lead in a way that maybe some bigger cities can't, and maybe some smaller cities just won't step up. And so I'm hopeful that coming out of this, that we will have learned, we'll have listened, and that we will work together, not only of the city can only do so much, but our legislature, our friends at the chamber, our friends at the Healthcare CEO Council, and the entire business community to come together and say, this is our moment, not just for health and aging innovation, but to really stand out and be a community that embraces what it truly means to be an equitable society for all. And that is from Portland to Prospect. That's what this is going to mean. And this is how we're going to come back as a downtown. This is how we're going to come back as a community. But I also agree. I think downtown will come back. I think they're already seeing it. You know, there's a very interesting announcement from our friends at GLI, Downtown Partnership and Fund for the Arts, that we're going to have an art installation on some of the boards that are still up. So I hope everybody goes down and sees that here at the end of the month. It's going to be really, really cool. And I love the repurposing of that into something positive. And the boards are going to come down and we'll get back to work. So I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. There's still going to be some dirt moving around down there soon, and we're hopeful for it. But yeah, you cannot underestimate the serendipitous collisions that happen when people are in downtowns and places like Nulu and the medical district, when they bump into each other and suddenly ideas and companies are formed. That's going to be absolutely crucial. We've heard that from companies. Innovation doesn't happen in a vacuum. And so we're going to have to get back to work, and we're going to have to get back to our downtown.
All right. Tammy, quickly, and then Will, and then we're gonna have we have a question from Tom that we'll let him ask. So Tammy,
Okay. Yeah, quickly on this, you know, I think Michael, in understanding your question, you know, I took it partially to mean we need downtown to move forward with initiatives in some way. And, you know, the long-term answer, you know, is absolutely a vibrant downtown is critically important. I agree with every word said. I think, though, in addition, you know, Ben, to your comments and being a compassionate city, I also liked, you know, that we're an opportunity city. And I think that you solve and you're compassionate when you provide opportunity. And that's why I think that it's important. We're part of the solution. We move forward with initiatives, even in this time, when a lot of people aren't comfortable going back, you know, to work downtown, even without, you know, a lot of the issues that we're having with the calls for social justice, you know, when we're looking at coronavirus and safety, you know, those things aren't specific even just to Louisville or, you know, centered just to Louisville, that's nationally. But I think that this is a critical time where we need to move ahead. We don't need downtown to move forward with the initiatives that have the long-term impact that we want for this city. And it can be part of the solution by building that infrastructure and providing opportunity.
thank you, and Will.
Yeah, so I mean, downtown is obviously very important for the long-term health of the city. I agree with Tammy. I think we, you know, continue to move forward with these important initiatives the best we can with the tools we have. I also think that this new remote work provides a lot of opportunities to attract people to a really, you know, a great place to live, like we've all indicated. It's affordable. People can, you know, work remotely. I had a call with a person from Google X that was a boomerang back to Louisville recently, bought a house in Old Louisville, and is still working for Google X, and now they want to collaborate with us. So those kinds of opportunities, I think, are going to be, you know, more and more so in this new environment as people become more, you know, open to moving back to the Midwest or to the, you know, the South and the great lifestyle that we can have here, but then still have that connection to the Valley or to California or to the Northeast, as it may be. So I think there's a ton of opportunity. I think downtown is very important. You know, as indicated by all of the panelists, and I look forward to the continued growth.
Tom, you got a question?
I do. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, hey, first of all, good morning, everybody. I really appreciate, Michael, your leadership for this event, and also couldn't be more proud to be the incoming chair, partly because Michael's agreed to be the incoming chair after me, so I'm so grateful for that. And the leadership David Henley's exhibited in the last couple of years is really just unmatched. So I like to joke that when you tell me that the chief compliance officer of a Medicaid health plan is going to lead something, really, what's that going to look like? Are we going to have a lot of rules, or what's going to happen? But he is brilliant with getting groups to work together and kind of figuring out the important issues. So thanks to David for that. And I just, again, want to kind of appreciate everybody in this panel this morning. I got a question about pipeline, and I'll ask, and it'll be simple. And then I've got a thing I'll throw out that I think might be for later conversations, because I really do think that, you know, as Will just mentioned, things are really changing, and we need to stay on the cutting edge. So on the pipeline front, I'm curious, what's the typical number of companies we have in our economic development pipeline from a business attraction standpoint, and the retention projects too? I guess you could add all those together. Is it 10? Is it 1,000? I'm just curious, and I know a lot of that stuff's confidential, but I'm hopeful that just that basic numbers, something can be shared. And then how do we help make that number bigger and the quality better?
Sure. John, you want to go, or you want to?
Yeah, I can hop in. Yeah, so I think I would just start off by saying, you know, I joke sometimes and say, you know, the folks doing real economic development probably don't have it in their title. You know, our community is full of folks that are actively working to promote and sell our community. You know, most notably, a lot of our commercial real estate brokers, our utility companies, even our accounting firms, right? Projects, companies, and consultants often knock on the door that they need first, right? And so there is absolutely probably impossible to get a comprehensive kind of number or count, but I can tell you from the regional partnerships perspective, we typically have around 50 projects that are kind of active within our pipeline. And then if we wanted to kind of chop those and say, what number of those are business attraction, so companies that do not currently have a presence in our market, versus maybe a retention or expansion. And again, I would just note that, right, our primary focus is business attraction. So as the chamber, right, we have an investment team that's constantly meeting with and staying connected to local businesses as well. And so when we uncover those opportunities, we support them as a chamber, but we also directly connect them to that local county of origin. So of those roughly 50 projects in our pipeline, roughly about half would be business attraction projects, with the other half existing industry that's in market that's looking for support from our partners, such as Louisville Forward.
Sure, and I'll piggyback real quick from a local standpoint, Louisville Metro. Quick definition of how we have goals and success. We look at job creation, new jobs to the market, net new jobs, wages, what are the wages for those jobs, and then total capital investment, right? And so for the last 5 or 6 years, we've been very, very proud in partnership with GLI to be one of the top 10 metros for those 3 metrics in the country. So we should all be really proud of that. That is an award by the site selection group. It is metric driven. It's not just like, oh, hey, we really like you, but they do. But we have done very, very well. And I will say 2020 has been a pretty good year, given all that we know. We have 74 active projects in our pipeline for Louisville Metro. Of those projects, we're looking at about, if we were to land all of them, it's about 9,600 jobs, and it's just about $1 billion of investment. Projects can take anywhere from a month or 2 to locate when somebody's really active, knows what they're doing, has everything lined up, to a project I've been working for 4 years now. And I swear I will locate it before I leave this administration. It's the last thing I do. So that's sort of the definition of success, number of projects. We actually have a different sort of makeup. So I would say about 20 to 30% at any given time are attraction new companies. The other 70 to 80% is expansion of existing companies. So we're very much focused on how we're helping these companies to grow here, eliminating hurdles to growth. That can be anywhere from making connections to the right workforce partner so they can find the workforce they need before they need it. It could be a connection to another company, a distributor, a buyer, a customer. It could be just, you know, letting them know about incentives that are available so they can get some money back to grow faster, new real estate, so on and so forth. So I would say we're about 80-20, 70-30 as far as expansion of existing companies versus attraction. And so that's kind of our makeup. But I would say, yeah, we've got a good number of projects in the pipeline right now.
Yes. Let me ask each of the panelists, what is your impression and or understanding about the available resources in our community, such as seed money, angel investing, venture capitalists, corporate monies, entrepreneurs who have some resources that they can, that as our projects and opportunities might come forward, that there's going to be ample resources, financial resources that can get these projects started. So let me go backwards this time. Let me start with Will.
Yeah, so thanks, Michael. Obviously, you know, capital is super important, as everyone knows, to starting a new venture, to growing a business. Healthcare especially is capital intensive. I think, you know, there is access to capital. I think that's growing. You know, I don't think there can ever be enough money, you know, for new ventures or for growing companies. You know, I'm really excited about what the Healthcare CEO Council has announced recently with their capital investment fund, as well as their other sources of capital they're unlocking. So you know, I think there's definitely opportunity for growth, and you know, there's a lot of talk and a lot of activity in this space. There's some things we can leverage to continue that growth. Small business, SBIC, SBA funding to kind of leverage, and federal opportunities to pick up some feedback there. I'm not sure where that's coming from. To kind of leverage and other federal money to low cost loans from the federal government to support venture backed growth. So I think there's a ton of activity in that space. I think there's room for growth. You know, all of the capital stack along the way that could be leveraging things like non-dilutive funding from the federal government, which we've had some success with, like things like small business initiation research grants that you can get for early stage ventures that are technology based. And then, so we have at U of L, we have 3 or 4 entrepreneurs in residence at any given time. And they have great connections to capital both inside and outside the region for new companies spinning up. And so we've had some success there in accessing capital, and we want to continue that. I'm also really excited about the Render Capital announcement recently and their venture that they're running. So I think there's just, you know, the room for growth, but some good activity too. So
Tammy, what do you see?
You know, because we've all had so much discussion around this, and I think that we recognize there's a lot of investment dollars. You know, it's being very strategic about how we approach, you know, that access to capital that has me excited now. You know, one of the things that we did with LEAP was refocus LEAP to be specific to healthcare. And I'm excited about the next iteration when we look at, you know, identifying the needs and what we have here in healthcare for growing the innovations that are here in that space and doing it in a very mindful way that builds that innovation cycle, and also attracting here and letting the rest of the country know what we have. And then in healthcare aging innovation, you know, all of the solutions that we look for when we launch something like the paid pilots I referenced as our inaugural launch across that continuum. At the end of that, with those pilots for those innovations, you know, they have customers, you know, ready, and these are all expandable. You know, everything we approach, you know, that with the lessons that we learn here in Louisville then are expandable and able to be duplicated for national solutions. So I think that puts us on the map, and it de-risks capital investments for these innovations when, you know, VCs and family offices know that at the end, these corporates, you know, have proven and taken the risk out of it. And I think that's going to help all of our efforts.
Ben and John, what do you all see in the investment space or the venture capital space?
Quickly, I will say, you know, improving. I think that we have improved greatly as a community, at least my impression of when I first started doing this 6 years ago. you know, it's still an issue. You know, I would love to say that we're flush with cash, but I still think that there is a bit of a gap in some areas. But I think we can be really excited for the advancements we've made. You know, that there are groups that have been around that have really been building this. You know, the team at Accelerate Health for years has been churning out good companies and training folks, helping them get funding. Now with Leap and Amplify, if you've not looked up or heard about what they're doing and how that's going to be affecting this entrepreneurial ecosystem, please do. That's an incredibly important piece of this. And then, you know, just the work that folks are doing in, you know, the Healthcare Council, Render, all the things that have been mentioned. I think we're in a better position than we were. I think that in the next couple of years, we could be even better, you know, when we think about educating folks is what does it mean to be an angel investor? What does it mean to get into, you know, VC situation? You know, there's money here. We just have to, the ultimate form of buying local is supporting local companies, right? So let's invest. Let's get out there. Let's, you know, if you're thinking about a Subway franchise, look at a startup instead. If you want to buy a horse, look at a startup instead. You know, it's a much better return probably. At least it's about as risky. And so, you know, let's get together and let's really drive within this community. And, you know, Will pointed out Telaris, and that is a really, really great example. I mean, their treatment, their technology is so incredible. Again, go look them up. You know, that is a homegrown solution that's gonna save lives. And they have raised, I think it was 110 this round and 115 last year. Well, so in the last 2 years, $215 million for a Louisville company. And we shouldn't be surprised by that. There are plenty of great companies here, but we should be really proud of it. We should celebrate it. And we should be shouting it from the rooftops that we can do this here. And so we can do this here. That's my message.
All right, John, any final comments on that one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, gosh, Ben just had the quote of the day there. If you're thinking about buying a horse,
yeah. Good thing you didn't say bourbon. That would have.
I think the only thing that I would add, because you know this is definitely an area where Will and Tammy and their teams really specialize. You know, I think from my perspective, what's been really neat to see is the accessibility of some various kind of crowdfunding platforms that have enabled companies, essentially pre-valuation, to really engage, you know, with their communities, with their stakeholders, with a broader national kind of contingency of investors. And so I do think that platforms like WeFunder and others will help to motivate our community to not buy horses and to instead go ahead and get in the game in a much maybe less intimidating kind of fashion to really build up equity and potential and scalability for their companies and position them for long-term success.
All right, guys, final question. Can you, as we go forward and we're building out our ecosystem, is there one item that you all think is a gap that we need to focus on and find solutions to? I'll start, we'll go back to Will.
Yeah, so I think tech talent's important. I don't know if it's a gap, and it's something we're trying to address. And I think each partner on this call has initiatives that are very important to that and are supporting that. So recently we were very proud to announce yesterday a grant from the National Security Agency, $6 million grant to support cybersecurity talent training specifically focused on the healthcare space. And so the CEO Council supported that initiative, that grant application to NSA, and we were fortunate to be awarded that grant. So that's basically what we're doing is we're taking people transitioning out of the military, and we're giving them certificates and badges that are industry focused, so Microsoft and IBM and Amazon badges and credentials, workforce specific badges, credentials, leading to potentially associate's or bachelor degree in the tech space. And they're all along the way, they're going to be working in industry, doing practical training. And, so we're really proud of that piece, but I think more tech training, the better. And so, I'll let the other partners kind of highlight their specific role in that, but I think it's an area for growth.
All right, thank you. Tammy, one gap that you think needs to be addressed.
I agree with everything Will said in terms of talent, but I think that even more importantly for our future, what we're doing now and the kind of collaborative efforts with all of our organizations, that is addressing what I believe has been a gap in Louisville. We haven't always been collaborative. You know, we've had a bit of a scarcity mentality, and I believe that's changed. And I believe that we've had incredible movement with all of our organizations focused on this, and, you know, that you get further, you know, you go faster alone, further together. And I echo Randy Bufford, the wise Randy Bufford, who said, no, in this case, I believe it's both. You go faster and further together. And so I'm excited. I feel like it's kind of a new day for us with opportunity there.
Again, I think you're the first person to call Randy wise. I'll let him know that. Ben, your thoughts on gaps? You see the whole system.
Sure. So I would agree with everything's been said again. I feel like I'm a broken record here, but Tammy's absolutely right. The collaboration, particularly in this space, in health and aging innovation space over the last few years, has just been explosive, and it's impressive. And I think it's because you have a group of people that have come together and said, it is not about me. It is about this city. It's about our community. It's about how we move forward. And a lot of people talk about growth, and that's super important. And as an economic developer, growth is important. But, you know, I think it's also about improving. We're looking to improve our community. And if growth happens because of that, great. But we want to make our community a better place. And we're looking at that across the board. So I agree with Tammy, the collaboration is key. We've got to keep it up. And we've got to bring more partners in and stand them up and really make a good effort at that. I would say talent, and I agree with Will. I think that if you have the talent, people will come, the companies will come. If you build it, they will come. And a lot of it is going to be in tech because so many jobs are going to be automated. That's why this Microsoft AI Future of Work initiative that the city is in is so important. It's why the work around Little Tech Works is important, around GLI's new tech group. You know, everybody's focused on this because this is the future of our workforce. And yes, working remotely is going to be huge going forward. We've discovered we can do it. It doesn't break you, but it's not going to replace working in person. But we can become that place that is the best remote work place in the country, right? Fast internet, great quality of life, cost of living. We've got it. So let's go for it. But we've got to have these folks in our community. And so when we talk to site selectors and consultants and companies, they want to see better in-migration numbers. They want to see better retention numbers. And that also means embracing everyone. That means being a global community that welcomes immigrants and refugees. That means being a compassionate, inclusive community. So we're doing the right things. I think we just, to Tammy's point, we need to, and Randy's point, we need to do them faster. We're running the same race as all the other cities that we want to start to outpace, but they're ahead of us. And so if we're going to catch them, we've got to run faster, and we've got to do it together because we're not going to be able to do it separately.
So John.
Yeah, I guess I would hone in on the workforce piece as well. And, you know, when we think about students and their propensity to take different career paths, you know, there's some real disparities in where individuals track. And I think that as a community, you know, we need to continue to assess why there are these disparities and try to identify interventions or models or services that can really help correct that and enhance our workforce participation at the end of the day. You know, the University of Louisville has amazing programs, but if the students coming out of high school aren't prepared or interested or on track for those programs, you know, it can be a real barrier to achieving those workforce capacities that we need for our companies to not only maintain their operational kind of, you know, current dynamics, but to be able to expand and grow. And so, you know, one thing that we've been really focused on within the JCPS Academies model is integrating the U Science assessment, which oversimplified kind of takes an aptitude approach versus an interest approach. A lot of times, you know, students and adults, you know, are assessed based on their interest, right? What do you like to do? What do you see yourself doing? What are you interested in? Versus maybe where there are some underlying aptitudes. And so what some of the early data is already showing is that the that there's an equitable lens to look at this through, with students that maybe haven't had the opportunity to be exposed or mentored or truly understand STEM pathways or healthcare pathways. And so the more that we can, again, continue to really look at how we're teaching, how we're directing students into areas where they can be successful, I think that can really pay an enormous dividend here locally, right? So we're not so dependent on either repivoting our workforce or attracting from out of market, and we're able to really nurture the assets that we have here, which is, our neighbors and our children and our future.
Thanks, John. And Ben, from the HEN perspective, do you have some thoughts?
Yeah, just a real quick thought. And one thing that I want to emphasize that was brought up in our strategic plan, and that is the branding and messaging, or telling the healthcare story. It's really hard to build on the success of our community if we don't understand the underlying story of what makes Louisville a special place. What are the companies that are here? What are they doing that is significant? And really celebrating that. And that's one of the things that I see our organization serving as kind of the primary convener of that, and collecting those stories, disseminating them, and figuring out how we all play together, and continuing to push that narrative along so that we can enable U of L and GLI and Louisville Forward and LHCC and all of the other important people in this ecosystem to do their job.
All right. I do want to acknowledge a comment that I just see from Judy Nichols, and I think it highlights a comment that was made earlier, but again, I think it's a great way to end, and that is growth in tech talent is important, but it would also be great to see business directed to local technology businesses available in the area. We are talking about growing our own. We are talking about supporting our neighbors. We are talking about collaborating with each other. And looking for those opportunities to support and help each other grow in this environment. So again, I think that's a tremendous comment, and one that we want to keep out in front of everybody. So as we're getting near the bottom of the hour, I do want to thank our Rockstar panelists for being here this morning. Thank you for the great comments. Thank you for leading your organizations and collaborating in a way that's making Louisville better. I feel I've been in the Louisville area for 5 years, but in the 5 years I've been here and involved with these organizations, we are getting deeper relationships. We are, I can't emphasize enough how everybody's on the same page, wanting to see the same goals achieved for this community. I'd also like to thank all of you for coming this morning. As HEN members, I hope you appreciate that you are our ambassadors out in the communities. I mean, part of the message today is not only talking about HEN, but also when you're dealing with your clients or whatever part of the healthcare spectrum you're involved in, you're involved or connected to things that if you could tell us or share with us or provide information for us that we could help develop, support, and grow, that would be immensely helpful. We need you to be selling the word and communicating where you can the opportunities within Louisville. You, again, are truly our ambassadors, and we look, and hopefully that you all will appreciate that and communicate what's going on in Louisville every opportunity that you can as well. So Ben, that's it for me. Do you have any final comments?
No, just I appreciate everybody coming today. We're going to have a couple of more discussions in 2020. One thing that I did want to point out that I've seen in the comments was several conversations around diversity and inclusion. We, like many of the other partner organizations, have formed a diversity and inclusion committee and plan on having some events around that. It is a broad topic and one that needs its own time to discuss. So thank you for continuing to keep that on our radar. I know that all of our partners here also have that on their radar, and so we'll be engaging in that conversation as we go down the road. And we'll also be looking at some policy issues towards the end of this year as well. So thank you all for being a part of this today. Look forward to seeing you all at future events as well.
All right, guys, take care of yourselves. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.